Good afternoon. Kate Carruth here, your content alchemist with some content gold on a Wednesday lunchtime. And we're answering all of those questions that people ask us about content. And this month, we're talking about ghostwriting. For any business owner, having a book written is fantastic credibility. It sets you up as an authority. It's something to leave your mark on the world and something to leave behind. And if you've considered it, if you've looked at it, you'll be going, wow, there's a lot involved in writing a book. Now, it might be that you're really excited by that challenge and you're off. Fantastic. But if you're a bit daunted by that, what is often something people explore is ghostwriting. In other words, having somebody else write your book for you. So then the first question that comes to most people's minds is, well, if I was going to do that, how much would it cost me? Now, like anything in the world of pricing and in the world of content, the answer really depends, because it really depends on the relationship you have with your ghostwriter. There's a vast array of different things that they can do for you. But I thought there's three key things that you need to know and to be clear about before you get to the point where we can answer that question about how much will it cost me. So the first question is, you need to know who's going to do the research for the book. True ghostwriting, the ghostwriter goes away, does the research, writes a book, brings it back. All you have to do is put your name on it. So that's the traditional ghostwriting model. Collaborative ghostwriting, and that's what we do at Creative Words, is where actually all of the insight and all of the thought and all of the research is yours. So as an example, we wrote a book a few years ago called Inspirators with the author and speaker Pete Cohen. And what we did was he would send me voice files, all of his thoughts, everything that he wanted to include within that section of the book. And then we turned that into a polished book for him. So that's the first thing. Actually, who's actually coming up with the initial ideas and that sort of thing. The second really important question is, how long a book is this going to be? A 10,000 word ebook is a very different proposition from a 100,000 word business book. So knowing the length is going to have a big impact. And then the third factor that you need to take into account is exactly what outcome you're expecting from your ghostwriter. So what do I mean by this? For example, what your ghostwriter can do is write you a first draft. Or they can write you a first draft, then work with you to refine the edits and get it to a polished final draft. Or you can write a very rough first draft and they can take that and polish that up and turn that into a book. So those are three different ways round. And they all have a factor. So what does all this mean in terms of pricing? Come on, Kate, answer the darn question. Right, okay, let me give you some examples. Let's start with a 60,000 word business book. Now, if you give all of your input, but you want it edited and just ready to go, you might pay about £14,000 for a 60,000 word book. If, however, you just want a first draft, that's more likely to be about £10,000. If you want the writer, the ghostwriter, to do all of your research, you're talking more around the £18,000 to £20,000 mark. Those are just ballparks, but it gives you an idea. Now, if it was a very short book, like a 10,000 word book, where you give your input, you might pay £2,500. If you just want a first draft, £1,500. And if you want the whole thing done for you, done, dusted, all you've got to do is put your name on it, £4,000. So it gives you a really good idea about pricing. Now, if you're really sharp-eyed, you will have gone, hang on a minute, a £60,000 word book is very different from a 10,000 word book. And you're right. You pay about 30p a word for a 60,000 word book. You pay about 40p a word for a 10,000 word book. That's because writing isn't a straight line. It's actually more time consuming, more difficult to write short than it is to write long. And therefore there is this disparity. So it's not a straight line. It's more of a curve. And there are wiggles within the curve as well. So hopefully that's given you some idea about the wonderful world of ghostwriting. If you'd like to have a conversation with us about how we might help you get your book into reality with either ghostwriting or other editorial support, then just click the link below and get in touch. Have a golden afternoon.